Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Always. 29 hours a day.
29, yeah. Did you get a chance to see the Hillary and Donald show over the weekend?
No, you couldn't pay me any amount of money to watch that nonsense.
You know, more and more people are saying the same thing. More and more people are saying the same thing. And it was just lie after lie after lie from Hillary's side. We talked about Hillary Clinton being a congenital liar. And boy, I don't even know if she knows when she's lying.
Oh, I doubt it.
So
congenital liars don't. Mm-hmm. And she is truly a born, congenital, predestined liar.
Mm-hmm. And many people are concerned about what happens if she takes up residence in the White House. People are just terrified of that.
I'm more than concerned. If we don't have a civil war, I'll be even more concerned.
Well, people I have been chatting with are saying the same thing. They just can't stand the status of our country. The fact that the media has been outed as lying to us far and wide and long, and that the UN wants to make sure that Donald Trump does not become president. The media
the UN is part of the evil empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting how those who want to control the world are all lining up behind Hillary, and those who want freedom seem to be lining up with Donald Trump. But there are some concerns about Donald Trump too. And I guess one way of summarizing my thoughts on it, he talked, locker room talk, or at least he said he did. But the Clintons went beyond locker room talk and went into oppression. I mean, they've oppressed women. They've covered this up. They've covered up the scandals. Bill Clinton was running wild in the White House, with his zipper undone. And it's just. He's a national disgrace, and just the thought of having him anywhere near the White House is unacceptable.
Well, it is indeed a phenomenal, unbelievable, horrible.
I was traveling,
Yeah.
I was traveling through Springfield a couple days ago. And I saw one property. It was a residence that had a sign that said Hillary. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that guy is brave. Having a sign, or they're brave having that sign on their house. I said to Mrs. Finelli, I can't believe it. That place hasn't been burned down yet. There's so much. I was kidding, but there's so much anger about her. It just, wow, I've never seen anything like it.
No, I think this perhaps is the election of the last 200 plus years, mm-hmm. and will determine unequivocally whether this country survives or not. If she's elected, the country will not survive. How it will not survive, I do not know. But I predict unequivocally there will be no United States. It will be a very divided and hopefully fall apart country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dr. Shealy, I've got a list of thoughts for today's class, and I wanted to share this with you. In the 1950s, here in Missouri and in the surrounding area, there was a drought that lasted about 5 years. It was devastating. And those farmers who had livestock, cows, for example, had no grass. The grass just didn't grow because of the drought. And farmers were cutting down trees in order to feed their animals. It was so serious that for food, deer were almost hunted into extinction in this area. Any animal that moved was a target for food. So rabbits, squirrel, birds, I mean, anything that could be eaten was eaten by people. And this morning I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the Japanese during World War II. And this is a survival question. The Japanese were eating grass, literally grass, to survive. And I'm wondering about eating grass for our survival, should we have to, for whatever reason, whether it be a supply chain failure, whether it be nuclear war, as the sabers are being rattled in the United States. It's angering Russia. As a matter of fact, Vladimir Putin is ordering the return of those who are studying abroad to come back to Russia because of this saber rattling, which could lead to war, World War III. So the question is, eating grass. What would happen, Dr. Shealy, if we had to supplement our diet with, let's say, 50% grass? Would we be killing ourselves? Or would we survive? Or what would be the effects?
Well, it depends. If you live in a city, you will undoubtedly be killing yourself, because I suspect that 99% of those lawns have had all kinds of poisons put on them. Now, if you were eating grass from a natural pasture, it is non-toxic. We don't digest the raw grass well at all. Cows especially have, as you know, a rumen, and much of their digestion takes place in there before it goes into the stomach. So we just don't have the system set up for actual getting great nutrients out of grass. We don't have the teeth. We don't have the digestive system. It would be nip and tuck.
Okay. So do you have a thought, let's say the supply chain were to crash. Do you have a thought of what we might be able to supplement our diet with that's out there? I mean,
well, again, unless you live outside a city, I don't think there's anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there you're getting to wild animals. I mean, our best food, unequivocally, is animal, fish, animal, poultry. You know, those animals have a better overall digestive system than human beings, and they, you know, we just can't do it. We've got to have the proper protein and vitamins and minerals. You get a few vitamins and minerals out of grass, but that's about it, because we can't even digest the cellulose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned teeth. You know, cows' teeth wear out pretty fast compared to our teeth. 10, 15 years. That's about it, and they're worn down, and that's because they eat grass. And in that grass is probably some soil that's ruining the enamel in their teeth as well. Okay, so the bottom line is we've got to be prepared because it would be tough to eat grass. It'd be tough to eat leaves. There are some edibles out there. Maybe we should do a broadcast later on about what you can eat and how you can determine what you can eat, because if you eat the wrong mushrooms, you'll kill yourself.
Right. And although mushrooms are wonderful, the edible mushrooms are a wonderful source for antioxidants and enhancing immune function, they're pretty low in protein.
Okay. So animals, and that explains why deer, rabbit, squirrel all but disappeared during that 5-year extreme drought in our neck of the woods, Missouri and the surrounding states, because we flat out have to have animal protein. Okay. Dr. Shealy, changing our diet, a lot of people should change their diet, because I can see the evidence of what happens when people eat what they're currently eating. I guess they're eating a lot of fast food and a lot of prepared food. But changing our diet to lower blood pressure, do you have some thoughts on that? What would that diet consist of if a person wanted to naturally lower his or her blood pressure, which may be just a little high or really high?
Well, the single food that is best for lowering blood pressure is beets. Plain old red beets. They're loaded with nitrates. And if you ate about a quart of beets a day, that would be equal to about 30 drops of nitroextreme a day.
A quart of beets. Okay,
right.
So that's a lot of beets.
That is a bunch of beets. I think most people would have trouble. Mm-hmm. Now, agrula, an odd little vegetable salad rocket, agrula, whatever, agrula, rugula, it has many different names. It is also excellent, but you'd have to eat, good heavens, I don't know, half a bushel probably.
Well, shouldn't we be eating those beets and salad greens anyway?
Well, salad greens are good, but they're fairly low in nitrates.
Okay, we'll be right back. Class Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. John is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. And Dr. Shealy, you mentioned arugula, and what I understand is that it benefits vision and eye health. Just as one item, it, as you mentioned, it helps control blood pressure, promotes cardiovascular health, and that's just the beginning. So we should be eating arugula.
Well, the interesting thing is, although I am an avid gardener, I've never gotten around to raising arugula. Have you?
No, I haven't, but I know that my grandmother has, when she was alive, and, I would hear that. And my mom to this day, well, as of yesterday, she was out hunting dandelion leaves for her
and
salads.
That is a sort of a distant relative, if you will, and it does have nitrates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, Dr. Shealy. Over the years, I've watched my mother's health habits, and she had a brother and a sister, and she was the oldest of the three children. And my mom didn't smoke. Would have wine once in a while, but was not a drinker per se. And her brother and sister both smoked. Consumed. I won't say they were alcoholics by any stretch of the imagination, but they consumed a little more alcohol than my mom. And they both died early, way early. And so I had a chance to watch my mom's health habits. She would cook broccoli. She would first wash it, and she'd cook it, and then she would put the water from cooking broccoli in the refrigerator, and that would be a beverage, for the next day or two. She would cook a lot of beets. And so she did a lot of these things that some people might say are healthy to do. And she's in her 90s, and she's still going pretty strong. So I find it interesting that I had a chance to see the effects of smoking, see the effects of eating out more often than maybe I would. Not by my mom, but by her brother and sister. And I saw the effects of smoking, the wrinkling of the skin. I'd look at my mom's skin and her younger brother and sister's skin, and they were way more wrinkled than my mom. So I got a chance to see firsthand what happens, because they all were raised in the same house. They all started out eating the same food, grown from the same garden. And the results of smoking and eating food at restaurants had quite a significant impact on the degradation of her brother and sister's health.
Well, my father's family is also a perfect example. 5 of 6 brothers died between 48 and 54 years of age. They all smoked. Brother number 6 lived to be 80. A difference of over 16 years just because of smoking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who may still be smoking, I'll ask Dr. Shealy this question, and it's going to be striking, the response. Dr. Shealy, can you be healthy and smoke?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I had a really wonderful man come in yesterday as a patient who 50 years of age, and because of his 50th birthday, he wanted, to get recommendations. Now, Vince, his health habits are better than 99% of people in this country, except he chews tobacco.
He chews tobacco, okay. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just, it's so interesting. He eats right, he exercises right, he sleeps right, everything is good except he chews tobacco. And I offered him my technique for weaning, quitting nicotine, which is an injection of B12 into 4 spates on the 2 on the face and 2 in the ears. It was kind of painful. He did not take me up.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, let's talk about chewing tobacco when we come back, because if you walk around Missouri, you'll see guys with these round wear marks on their right back pockets of their blue jeans, and that's where they keep that round can of chewing tobacco. Let's talk about that, and what does it do to your tongue, your gums, your throat. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com, and you can go to that website, sign up for the free newsletter, the same one that I get, and also if you'd like to buy some of Dr. Shealy's products, you can find them right there at normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, chewing tobacco, the smokeless tobacco, some people may think that, it's okay, we're not smoking it, but what are your thoughts on smokeless tobacco or chewing tobacco?
Well, it increases the risk of cancer of the mouth and throat, it's a poison. There's no getting away from it. Any way you look at it, nicotine, whether you smoke it or chew it, is not healthy.
I understand that oral tobacco has about 28 chemicals known to cause cancer. They're carcinogens. And Dr. Shealy, as I'm thinking about what you're saying, I'm thinking about, okay, so we chew this stuff. Some of it, even though we don't want to swallow it, may go into our stomachs, go through our intestines, and so I'm thinking about all kinds of cancers throughout the entire body. Am I mistaken?
No, you're right. It is truly just plain old poison. You know, not quite as bad as arsenic, but it comes close.
And Dr. Shealy, you had mentioned several times on the air that, you know, you can take your poison in a big dose and kill yourself quickly, or you can take it in small doses and kill yourself slowly. Is that the case with chewing tobacco?
That is what it is. You know, again, and smoking, we have the statistics in the quantity, because I don't know how you measure chewing tobacco by the number of chews or whatever, but 1 pack a day, average, no other bad habit, shortens your life expectancy 7 years. It's that simple. 3 packs is 18 years.
You know, it's interesting. As you mentioned this, it brought back a thought. I was standing on the at the bus pickup point during elementary school, and there was an older guy that was waiting for his bus at the same spot, but he was several years old. He was probably going to high school, and he was smoking. A young guy. I'm talking about a very, very young teenager smoking, and I said, "Why do you do that?" And he said, "Well, you know, he likes it." And I said, "Well, aren't you worried about cancer?" He said, "Look, a pack a day will only shorten your life 7 years." And he thought that was acceptable.
Yep.
And this was in the 60s. He thought it was just fine to smoke and shorten his own life by what could be 10%. But I don't know if he was thinking about the cost, because back then cigarettes were 25 cents a pack at the gas station, probably 17 cents a pack if you bought them by the carton, maybe 17 and a half cents. But I don't think he was thinking about the degradation of his, well, not only the shortening of the life, but the end of life horrors that he might experience, how terrible it might be, the dwindling health at an increasing rate. And it's so addictive. Have you found that it's difficult to get people to quit smoking even when they know about lung cancer and all these other cancers? And
it's harder than heroin. Mm-hmm. I'm serious. It is perhaps the most addictive substance known.
And it's engineered to be addictive. There's research that has gone into the genetics of tobacco to make it so that you absolutely positively cannot easily quit the addiction. Dr. Shealy, how do people who smoke justify it to you when they say, "Yeah, doctor, I understand. I understand I'm killing myself." But, I mean, what do they say? Or are they embarrassed? Or are they just...
I've never heard a good story.
To you?
I have never had anyone give me a reasonable, common sense, honest reason for smoking. Not one. Not possible.
And if you listen to, if you have a guest come to your house who is a smoker, and they've been smoking for years, the morning sound, when they get up in the morning, it sounds like they're going to die from the coughing and the hacking, and I'm sure you've heard that, right?
Yep.
And they think that's okay. Okay. All right. So 7 years off your life if you smoke 1 pack a day, and 18 if you smoke 3. And what about menthol cigarettes, Dr. Shealy? Is there a increased concern about menthol?
I don't know. I don't know any studies on that. Menthol itself is not the healthiest thing in the world, but compared to nicotine, it's relatively minor, I suppose.
Okay. Class, I just want to remind you there's some RK gun shows October 15th and 16th, Saturday and Sunday. That's on the weekend. October 15th and 16th, Columbus, Georgia, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Springfield, Missouri. And I plan on being at the one in Springfield, Missouri. That's at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, if they'll let me in. Columbus, Georgia, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Springfield, Missouri. That's October 15 and 16. Dr. Shealy, something that's probably unpleasant to talk about, but what is constipation?
Constipation.
What is it? What causes it? What do we do about it?
Well, constipation is, difficulty, if you will, emptying your bowels, having a bowel movement. It is probably 2 to 4 times as common in women as in men. And the reason is, I think, not diet as much as perhaps less water, but more importantly, women tend to be more parasympathetically dominant and men more sympathetic. In other words, men run on adrenaline, and adrenaline helps to prevent constipation, keeps the gut more active. But it's unhealthy, of course. If you do not empty your bowels a minimum of once a day, and I think twice is preferable, with ease. I mean, it's not just a question of emptying, it's, ease without having to strain, et cetera, then you're going to have long-term toxicity and more illnesses.
Okay, so if a person is constipated, I mean, there are plenty of remedies that you can buy at the pharmacy, over the counter or drugstore, or even the Chinese factory outlet, to avoid constipation. Grains.
Well,
what do we do? Cereals.
There are a whole bunch of foods that can help. For instance, squeezing 1 lemon into a glass of warm water in the morning and drinking it first thing. That may be the simplest thing of all. If that does not work, there are any number of things like prunes, plums, prune juice, grape juice, plain old Welch's grape juice is an excellent assistant to, if you will, regulating or keeping the bowels properly active. Now, if those don't work, there are any number of things from psyllium seed husks to flax seed hulks to grape fruit pectin and stuff like that can help immensely.
Okay. So now, does psyllium, you mentioned psyllium, I know you can get psyllium powder without the sugar added, without the orange flavor added.
Yeah, you want to avoid the 50% sugar that's in Metamucil. Metamucil is junk.
Metamucil is comprised of, one of the ingredients is psyllium, or psyllium powder.
Psyllium husk, the husk of the psyllium seed, and 50% glucose. So it's really toxic.
But the psyllium powder without the sugar and without the flavoring is okay.
Yeah, Consul, yes. Konsyl is one form of the plain psyllium seed husk, so that's the good one.
And now, is that something that the fiber that we're talking about, will that help lower high blood pressure?
Well, it can, and cholesterol.
Okay. So is this, Dr. Shealy, is this something that should be taken as a part of a regular diet regimen, for example?
Well, for people who need it, yes. Now, for me, it would be irritating.
Okay.
In other words, I don't need it.
All right. Okay. So then on the other side of this coin, we talk about constipation. By the way, are there risks associated with constipation? Let's say a person is constipated regularly.
Well, it increased the risk of hemorrhoids, of course, and cancer of the colon.
Okay. All right. And so is the hemorrhoids, is that a result of straining? Is that what happens?
Yeah, that is one of the problems, yes.
Okay. And what does a person do about hemorrhoids, Dr. Shealy?
Well, you avoid by having regular, what I call soft bowel movements. You want them to be not liquid, but soft.
Okay. So if a person has hemorrhoids, can a person change his or her diet and maybe they heal themselves, or
yes,
is that something that doesn't?
They can definitely help immensely if they change their diet.
Okay, when we come back, Dr. Shealy, can we talk about the other side of this coin, which is diarrhea? Irritable bowel syndrome. What are the risks associated with diarrhea, and how does one eat or change diet? Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we've been talking about constipation, what it is, the risks, and what to do about it. And now it's the other side of the coin, diarrhea, Dr. Shealy. Are there any risks associated with diarrhea?
Oh, yes. Actually, it's a quicker, if you will, risk with diarrhea. You can actually die from, excessive diarrhea, 10 or more bowel movements a day that are liquid, etc. And there are many, many more serious diseases associated with it. It depends, of course, on the amount, the duration, and all that sort of stuff. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis are the worst of the diarrhea things, but there's all kinds of infectious agents from bacteria to parasites of various kinds, et cetera, which can cause ongoing and long-standing chronic diarrhea. Again, it's primarily nutritional deficiency for the milder cases. That is, you're not going to absorb a lot of your vitamins and minerals, maybe even your amino acids, if you've got significant diarrhea. It's much more complex than treating constipation. The most important thing is if you need to be sure that you don't have a true parasite or Clostridia or one of the more serious bacterial infections. And sometimes you really do need even an antibiotic to save your life. So this is something not to ignore. Now, for the so-called irritable bowel syndrome, that's one where often they go from constipation 1 week or day or two to diarrhea back and forth. And it's not quite as serious as severe diarrhea or long-term total chronic constipation, but it's a big problem. The most important thing, as with so many diseases today, is to avoid wheat because of Monsanto's Roundup, which has totally poisoned all wheat. And now I just was told yesterday by a farmer that 90% of all the corn in this country is, quote, Roundup ready. So, we're getting increasingly poisoned by Monsanto. But first, certainly avoid wheat, and I would now say avoid sugar and avoid corn. And then there are certain things that can quiet an irritated intestine. My favorite probably is tannin, something that's found in tea, but you can buy it as a tablet or capsule, TANALBIT, Tannal Bit. And a couple of those, 1 twice a day, can make huge differences in quieting down an irritated bowel with diarrhea. In addition, you need lots and lots and lots of probiotics as well as prebiotics. The best probiotic is Dr. Bush, B-U-S-H, Restore, R-E-S-T-O-R-E, is a wonderful liquid probiotic that helps feed is an excellent prebiotic. It helps feed the probiotics of your intestine. And, you can buy it in a capsule. My favorite is G as in George, R8, the number 8, Dophilus. 2 to 4 of those capsules a day, or plain Greek yogurt is the best.
I was looking, as you're saying this, Dr. Shealy, the top 7 genetically modified crops. Corn, the number 1 crop grown in the U.S., 88%. You said 90. This post might be a little bit older than what you mentioned. So 88 to 90% of corn is genetically modified. Soy, 93%. Cottonseed, 94%. Papaya, 75%. Canola, 90% genetically modified. And sugar beets, 54% of sugar sold in America comes from sugar beets. We'll be right back.
Well, the sugar was poison to start with. Now they've made it more so.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. And if you'd like to call us, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. And if you'd like to take us with you as you travel, there's a listen line that works just really, really well. 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. And there are other listen lines as well, and you can find them at usaprepares.com. You can subscribe to Dr. Shealy's free, multiple times per week newsletter by going to normshealy.com. NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, I'd like to read something that I found on the Drudge Report during the break, and it's unbelievable. CNN orders blackout on Clinton's son. This is Wednesday, October 12th, 2016. It says CNN boss Jeff Zucker has directly ordered network staff not to cover shocking allegations made by Arkansas resident Danny Williams, the Drudge Report has learned. Williams, who is set to give his first TV interview today on Infowars.com, claims to be Bill Clinton's biological son. Jeff thinks it's a ridiculous hoax, a top CNN source reveals. I always felt, this is another quote, I always felt bad about Bill Clinton not wanting to be in my life, Williams explains in a video released on Monday. Was it because I was black? Was there something wrong with me? It made me think sometimes even of suicide. It's not fair and it has been hurtful. Hillary, please do not deny I exist. I am your stepson. And that is from the Drudge Report. So that's out there. And this young man claims that he is Bill Clinton's biological son, and he is black. His name is Danny Williams.
Well,
so that has been...
It may show that Bill isn't much of a racist. At least he was indiscriminate. He didn't discriminate between white and black in having sex with multiple women. Right,
and Larry Nichols on this broadcast, Larry Nichols, an insider of the Clinton administration, if you will. He was in the Clinton kitchen cabinet. He said right on this broadcast that Bill Clinton had sex with a manager at McDonald's, the restaurant chain, and he had sex with this manager in the governor's limousine in Arkansas, and that Larry Nichols interviewed the manager. So, and she was black as well. So, I can't comment on this because I don't know, but I can tell you that's what is front page headlines on the Drudge Report right this moment. So, since mentioning suicide, that this young man, Danny Williams, says he thought of suicide, that leads me to a post that I read that said antidepressants double the risk of suicide. Dr. Shealy, you've been saying that there's a relationship for a long, long time. And here it is out in the mainstream media that they're saying that it can double the risk of suicide, antidepressants. Would you comment on that? Because a lot of people must be taking these.
Well, yes. The suicide risk of depressed people is always there. It has been, throughout history. But interestingly, at all ages, well into, 80-plus-year-olds, taking an antidepressant drug significantly, markedly increases the risk of suicide. And that's, because the antidepressants not only don't work, they actually make you worse. There is no antidepressant drug that I can recommend under virtually any circumstance. It's that simple.
Okay, class. How many people do you know in your lives who have thought of suicide, ending it all? Nice people. And how many of them are on antidepressants? Now think about that. And it may encourage you to help them and to tell them that they may want to get off of those antidepressants. So, Dr. Shealy, since we're talking about that, how do they, whoever they are, get off antidepressants? How would you recommend?
Well, now again,
do
that
they
is
talk
not
to their doctor?
Well, the average doctor doesn't know which end is up when it comes to treating depression at all, and especially how to get them off the junk. The critical way, if somebody is really on an antidepressant drug, is to use the LISS, L-I-S-S, cranial electrical stimulator, plus air bliss, plus support with taurine, lithium orotate, tryptophan. It needs to be managed by someone who is, knows what they're doing.
Dr. Shealy, as I think about depression, wouldn't just camaraderie, fellowship, seeing other people, wouldn't that tend to help that as well?
Oh, yes. There's no
go out and see other people.
Yeah. Remember, the two most important indications are traits for health and longevity are conscientiousness, which means responsible and organized, and a network of friends. That network of friends is truly critically important.
Mm-hmm. And how about smiling? Does smiling, there's so many people who are so sad.
Well,
and that's sad
it's hard
in
to
itself.
but it is hard to get depressed people to smile. I mean, they just don't have the dopamine, the beta endorphins, the oxytocin necessary for normal reactions to humor.
It's so sad. How about diet? How about diet and health and exercise and the relationship to depression? If someone is healthy, are they less likely to be depressed?
Oh yes, far less. It's basically you need a wide range of vitamins and minerals in order to function healthily, period. And in today's world, since 80% of all the food sold in this country is pure, unadulterated junk, that is, the 45% of everything sold in McDonald's and all of its clones is junk. I would not call it real food. I wouldn't even drink coffee there. And 60% of what's sold in grocery stores is junk. It means that only 20% of the food available in the grocery, if everybody suddenly wanted to eat healthily, there wouldn't be enough food. It's only because they're eating so much junk that we get by with it.
Dr. Shealy, when I was young, let's say between the ages of 5 and teenage years, I remember eating apples, taking an apple, out of the bowl in the kitchen, on the kitchen table, washing it again, wiping it with a towel, and then just biting into it and eating it. I'd like to contrast that to lately. Lately, we've had some apples that came out of a bag, and wash them well, wipe them off with a towel. But now I don't just bite into them. I cut them. It's not because of my teeth. That's not the issue at all. It's because I have found in apples these brown spots on the inside. And there looks like there is a deformity where the seeds are. So it's not like some little pest drilled into the side of the apple and then made the inside near the core brown. What I've noticed is that there is this change in the structure of the apple. There is this brown deformation. This brown, maybe it is a mutation. I don't know what it is at this point, but it's not right and it's not normal. So I slice the apple. For anyone who's eating the apple, if my mom wants one, I'll just say, well, let me just slice this for you. And I'll slice it and make sure that there's none of that in the apple. Have you seen this, Dr. Shealy? Because if you just bite into an apple the way we used to, you probably won't see it.
That's right. Yeah, no, I have. I think it's because of all the poisons that are used. Actually, apple, one article I saw say apples have more pesticide poison on them than any other known fruit.
On them or in them? Or both?
Well, on them, which if they've been on them, they get in them.
Okay. So that's a problem. So, jeez, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Isn't that what we were told? Gosh.
Exactly.
So what? All right. Well, and that's why I don't eat applesauce, because I'm thinking applesauce is, well, it's whatever I would cut out of eating an apple plus the worms. So the worms plus whatever I'd cut.
And interestingly, I have to say one of my most favorite juices is apple juice. But you made me think about that.
There goes apple juice. But I don't eat applesauce, but I used to. I'm talking about when I was a child. Yeah, applesauce was great. So because of the worms and and think about ketchup. Now, do you think the best tomatoes are used in ketchup, or do you think that'd be the tomatoes that they couldn't sell because they didn't look right, or liquid tomatoes. Yeah, and then tomato soup, and then spaghetti sauce. Oh boy. Class. Dr. Shealy, I mentioned quite a while ago that when I make bacon, or when Mrs. Finelli makes bacon, we do it in a method recommended by my father, who taught science in school. And he said, bacons have nitrates, and water's the universal solvent. So what you do is you take the bacon out of the package and you put it into a pan with water, like half a pan of water, and you boil the bacon. Then you discard that water, not down the drain. Not down the drain because, if you have a septic system, it can cause problems later in the septic system. And then you add fresh water. That would be cold water, because hot water from a hot water heater may have aluminum or magnesium in it from the anode, the anode in hot water heaters. So you don't want to use hot water for anything that you eat. And so add cold water, boil it again, and remove the nitrates and the nitrites as best as possible from the bacon. Now, of course, the bacon will not taste as salty, but that's what we do here at our house. Dr. Shealy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're getting rid of the nitrates and nitrites, which are wonderful for hypertension and other energy things. Actually, if you take adequate vitamin C, which is a minimum of 1,000 milligrams a day, actually it helps you convert the nitrates and nitrites into nitric oxide.
Okay, so do you recommend doing this or not doing this? Do you
I recommend not doing it because I want those nitrates and nitrites. They're almost exactly the same as you get out of arugula.
Okay, but you must supplement with vitamin C, correct?
Well, yeah, you need to do that anyway.
Okay, all right. So we'll stop doing that, but we will we'll continue with our vitamin C supplements. So I was reading another article on the internet about who are the fittest, and this is on the dailymail.co.uk. And this article starts out by saying why U.S. children are some of the least fit in the world. Why we are some of the least fit in the world. And the article says, quote, while the U.S. brings home more Olympic gold, as in gold medals, than any other country, many, if not most, American school children would not even bring home a tin medal if there were such a thing. And it's we didn't rank very well. I'll tell you how we did. So at the bottom of this fitness test, this would be aerobic fitness. Mexico was at the bottom, then Peru, then Latvia, then we're there. So Mexico at the bottom, then Peru, then Latvia, then the United States. Above us, Korea, Australia, Canada, Japan, Norway, Estonia, Iceland, and Tunisia. So we do pretty poorly, and it looks like we could fix this with, of course, diet and exercise. But we're not. We're not, and we're getting heavier. And that's obvious. Everywhere I go, I see people are getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Weight loss, on average, is not happening as I see it. Dr. Shealy, are you seeing the same thing?
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, remember, just a couple of weeks ago, there was finally a national expose of Harvard pimping, lying about sugar.
Well, they say it's a supplement?
Well, essentially, Fred Stair, the pimp biochemist from Harvard, used to push sugar as a good food. He was truly a whore for the sugar industry.
Dr. Shealy, I've never heard anyone, until just now, well, no one in my life has ever said, listen, Vinny, eat more sugar.
No.
No one has ever said that. Eat more candy. Eat more sugar. Eat more licorice. No one has ever said that. And not only that, if you don't like the black-colored licorice, you can eat the strawberry or the cherry red stuff. It's got plenty of dye in it. No one has said to me, eat more food coloring because it's good for you. On the contrary, they've said just the opposite. Don't eat that yellow stuff that's artificially colored, and the green stuff and the red stuff and the pink stuff and the blue stuff. Don't eat that. Class Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, medical doctor. Dr. Shealy, back in the early 1970s, maybe it was 1970 to be specific, I was offered a job at Sears Automotive. And on day one, as a mechanic, and that's when Sears had these auto shops in a separate building outside the main store building. And on day one, I arrived for work, and I was met by the foreman of the automotive shop, and he said, okay, go in the store and go into the clothing department, men's clothing, and they have these shirts. They're gray, and just tell the gal there that you're starting today and you need a shirt. So I went there, and I got this gray shirt, and it was paid for by Sears, and I still have it. And what it is, it's 65% polyester and 35% cotton. Now, there's a medical reason why I'm telling this story. I still have this long sleeve shirt, and I still wear this shirt when I work on vehicles. And so the idea is that this shirt would resist staining and having the oils and the greases stick to it. So if you put it in the washing machine, the washing machine will remove the the stains from the oil and the greases and so forth. And they still sell these shirts at a lot of stores that sell like uniforms and work clothing. Well, what I've noticed over the years is I absolutely positively cannot wear the shirt out in the sun because it causes me to feel really, really warm, and so warm that I want to take my shirt off. The point the medical question that's buried inside this paragraph is, what happens if we overheat? Do we do damage to our body? Because when I'm out in the sun with this shirt, I can't wear it because it's 65% polyester, 35% cotton. If it were all cotton, I wouldn't have to take my shirt off.
Well, you're right. Heat, of course, the body temperature does not like to go above 98.6. When it gets to above 104, it can be extremely serious, cause seizures, stroke, death. So the body maintains that to a great extent, mainly by sweating, of course. Now, there is a lot of argument that polyester creates infertility, respiratory diseases, skin problems, even cancer. I have to admit that I really do like the cotton polyester shirts because you don't have to iron them. Mm-hmm. And I have worn them more or less for the last probably 30 years. And I choose to have all the other good health habits, therefore I'm willing to deal with this one.
Okay, now that brings to mind a point. That is, there are undershirts, men's undershirts, that you can get them all cotton, and the cotton ones will stretch in every direction, so they'll become wider and wider and wider, and shorter and shorter and shorter, so they don't fit after you wash them and wear them a while. But the ones that are cotton polyester blend, like 50-50 cotton and polyester, hold their shape, and they're more comfortable to wear. So are you saying that is a risk in wearing the blended cotton and polyester T-shirts, which are, right on the body?
Yes. No question about it. There is some evidence. It's not as strong as it is for tobacco and things like that, but there's some evidence that polyester is unhealthy. And maybe, although Orlon is not quite the same as polyester, the first Orlon factory in the country was built outside my home city of Camden, South Carolina. And many, many, many years after that, there was an article that I ran across about the incidence of cancer in workers in that Orlon factory. So, these plastic, if you will, because polyester is a form of plastic, these plastic shirts are not as healthy as cotton and wool.
Okay, so we talked about T-shirts. Now let's go a little south of T-shirts. And Radar O'Reilly in MASH used the word underneaths, and he was talking about underwear. Now, what about women who have these who wear underneaths, if you will, that are not made of cotton? Now, they used to be made of cotton. When I was growing up, it was cotton white underneaths. Well, now I'm not so sure it's cotton. I think it would be something other than cotton. Is that, for women, Dr. Shealy, are you concerned as well?
Yes, no question about it. And, even there's some people who've claimed that men's undershorts made of polyester and cotton may be part of the broader problem that we know are common in decreasing testosterone and other problems.
Okay. All right. There is an article that I read last few days linking high blood pressure to dementia. Now, that was something I haven't seen before.
Right.
Is that something? Is that a new thought, or has that been around for a while? It's just resurfaced.
It's resurfaced. Yes, it's been around.
And so and there seems to be a correlation right there. As we get older, our blood pressure tends to go up, and as we get older, dementia, the incidence of dementia seems to go up, and so many people are telling me that they can't remember. They can't remember a lot of things.
Right.
And so is this something that's been something we can avoid?
Well,
should avoid?
I think again, everything in life is a challenge and a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, I am pretty good about avoiding most things, but I have to say I do not avoid polyester in my clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many good health habits. I believe that if you've got otherwise good health habits, it's probably okay. That's just my choice.
Dr. Shealy, one of the things that I've recommended to Mrs. Finelli, because she's in charge of the clothes washing department here at the farm, I've recommended that she rinse our clothes twice to remove additional Klingon detergent that might be on our clothes. We don't use fabric softener. We don't use any of those sheets in our clothes dryer because we don't use a clothes dryer. So we just wash the clothes and now rinse them twice. Do you think that's a reasonable practice, or are we wasting water?
No, I think it's a good practice. I do like the double rinse.
Okay, and now as I think about that, I'm thinking about the dishwashers that many of us have, which would be those electric dishwashers. And boy, it'd be really nice to set that to a double rinse as well to get the additional detergent off our plates. And that's why, Dr. Shealy, I'm not too excited about eating at restaurants. Here are some of the things that come to mind, and I'd love to hear your comments. I don't know who's washing the dishes. I don't know how well they're washing the dishes. I don't know what chemicals they're using to wash the dishes. I don't know if they're cooking with aluminum pans, for their baked goods. I don't know if they're using aluminum large stock pots rather than stainless steel stock pots. I don't know.
I agree with you. There, I totally agree with you.
I don't know if when they sharpen their knives, I use a sharpening stone to sharpen our knives that we use for cutting, meat and so forth. But here's what I do. I sharpen the knives, and then what I do is I wash the knife off, and then I very carefully with a paper towel make sure that I wipe any possible particles that I could find on the blade of the knife off very, very well and very, very carefully, because I don't want that going into the food, and I don't want to consume that. But I don't know if restaurants are as cautious and as careful as I am with the tools that they use, the knives and so forth. So because of all that, I really don't want to eat out too much. I
agree. All kinds of reasons. You never know what kind of junk they're putting in.
Mm-hmm. Plus the toxins and the flavorings and the MSG and
exactly.
Okay. Ovarian cysts, Dr. Shealy. Many women have had the experience of going to their doctor and finding that they have an ovarian cyst. Is this something that is becoming more common? Are you aware of an increase in the number of ovarian cysts or the percentage? Or has this always been around? Okay, so it is increasing. Okay. Do we know what may be contributing to this? Is this birth control, either pills or liquids or other causes?
Well, again, we don't know. There's many, many, many things. Of course, ovarian cysts are about as related to the increase in estrogen and estrogenic products in our environment as is breast cancer. And so it's really a major concern, to say the least.
Is it possible that having multiple partners, and I'm talking about like Hollywood. These women seem to have no shortage of willing sex partners and men. Is it possible that having multiple partners and living this risky lifestyle could contribute to this?
Well, the one thing we know unequivocally is that men who have 20 different sex partners and women who have 10 or more have a marked increase in risk of venereal disease of all kinds.
Maybe Bill Clinton should be worried. When we come back, Dr. Shealy, we talk about garlic and how to eat garlic, and then not enough sleep and its relationship to hot flashes in women, and your event at the Doubletree. How did that go? Class Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and if you'd like to go to his website, it's normshealy.com. Norm Shealy, SHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, garlic. The Italians eat a lot of garlic, or they used to, and they felt there were medicinal benefits to eating garlic. Is that true?
Well, there's no question about it. Garlic is an excellent health enhancer, immune enhancer. No question about it. Very good. For heart disease, for cancer, for freedom from allergies, all of those things are part of the garlic contribution.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that there are different ways of eating garlic, and some of them are not quite so good. So, for example, heating garlic can destroy the enzymes. Is that true?
Well, raw garlic would be much more likely to do that than cooked garlic. But, a modest amount of garlic is good for you.
Okay. When you say raw garlic is more likely to do that, what did you mean? More likely to do what?
Well, you destroy some of the enzyme problem if you cook the garlic. I mean, personally, I don't think I've ever really eaten raw garlic. I've tasted it and didn't continue any further. But I love cooked garlic.
Because I'll just put a clove in my mouth and just chew on it.
Oh, I know. Well, I think that's genetic. I'm not being facetious. I think so too. To each its own. If you like raw garlic, I'd say use it because the benefits far outweigh any potential risks.
Okay. How about water softeners? And I've been reading that water softeners may not be the best for those who have heart problems. Is that true?
Well, that is true because it gets rid of the magnesium and the calcium in the water. The evidence has been around for 50 or 60 years that people who live in hard water areas live longer and are healthier than people who live west of the Mississippi. Well, it's really west of Missouri, where the water is not nearly as hard, don't live as long.
Okay. So then, Dr. Shealy, if a person has hard water and they say, boy, this is terrible, it clogs up the aerators in our faucets, if they and it's tougher on the clothes washing equipment because we use more soap and more detergent, and so they have water softeners to minimize the effects of hard water. Are you suggesting that they have a separate, not hard water faucet for drinking water and cooking and so forth?
Absolutely. In fact, that to me is mandatory. Especially your kitchen water should have no soft water in it.
Okay. All right. That sounds easy to fix. A little plumbing can take care of that. Not enough sleep. I understand, Dr. Shealy, that not enough sleep for women, it's certainly not enough sleep is bad for everybody, but women, it can cause hot flashes.
Yes, absolutely. But inadequate sleep, poor sleep, interrupted sleep is unhealthy for men and women. In fact, of course, probably equal to the crummy food that the average American eats is inadequate sleep causing obesity.
Okay. And how about the Doubletree? You had an event at the Doubletree. You invited people to come? Yeah.
Everybody comes. It's free of charge. We have a lecture for an hour and questions as long as they last. And tonight it's on the Methuselah potentials.
Okay, and that's at the Doubletree Hotel in Springfield, Missouri. So Dr. Shealy, are you doing this every week?
Every week for the rest of the year on Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, Doubletree Hotel, Springfield, Missouri. What time do you start, Dr. Shealy?
6 p.m.
Dr. Shealy, 6 p.m., free event. You can meet Dr. Norman Shealy, ask him all your questions, and enjoy a great presentation. Absolutely free. Doubletree Hotel, Springfield, Missouri. Starting at, you said 7 tonight or 6?
From 6 to 7, plus questions after 7.
6 to 7, plus the questions. Sounds great, Dr. Shealy. Have a great evening. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.